Hey, Bodacious Beast, welcome back to my channel. My name is Scottyallenday. If you're new here, please hit that subscribe button and that notification bell so you don't miss another video. Today we are going to I'm going to ask you the age-old question: why are small towns the perfect place to live? So I'm going to give you some insight because I've lived in the country, I've lived in the city, I've lived in the small towns, I've lived in the suburbs, I've lived in the middle of nowhere. And I'm going to give you some insight on why a small town is wonderful to live in. So let's get some insight on the big city. The big city, you have your rush hour, everything basically goes 100 miles an hour. I have never seen a big city that is laid back and slow paced. I can even say, even in the deep south, then you can go someplace like Birmingham, Alabama, and everything is still. Even in Tennessee, people are still going 100 miles an hour until you can get out of that city and into the small towns. Now, a big city may have everything to offer. You can be able to, you have your choices of what hospital you want to go to, where you want to practice your religion, where you want to shop, where you want to eat, where you want to sleep, where you want to dine, where your entertainment is. You have all kinds of things that are available for you in the big city. However, you also have the crime population, you have the homeless population, you have the political divide. You have schools that teach this and that, and every single school teaches something different. And the thing is nobody's on the same page. Nobody's united. So in the big city, you may have all these things that are close by. You have public transportation. But the thing is, who knows you? While if you're in the country, well, it takes you 2 hours to get to a small town. Well, you're away from everybody. You don't have to worry about nobody. You just tend to your own life, and you go with the flow. The suburbs is still the same thing as the city. You just have your long commute, and you go to the suburbs, and it's still crowded. Now, when you get to a small town, and you've established your roots, it is a wonderful place to establish roots. It is a wonderful place to grow a family. Mainly because people get connected. If you go and you live in a small town, population, let's say the biggest population of this small town that we're talking about is maybe 25,000. But you can get even lower down to 10,000. You can even lower down to 1. But a population of 1 will get kind of boring. But let's say you get to a nice small town of a population of about 25,000. Now that's decent enough to have an industry. You have your industrial, your commercial, and everything that could be able to make a town thrive. One of the biggest advantages of living in a small town, when you go and you purchase your piece of property, when you go and you buy your house in a small town, I can almost guarantee you will never see a piece of property in a small town less than about an acre. You get land. You don't get a little measly chunk of a quarter of an acre. You actually, when you buy a piece of land, you get land. You get an acre. You get maybe a half an acre. Now you have yourself maybe a 2 or 3 bedroom house on a half an acre of land, or an acre of land. So one of the biggest advantages is you get some room to breathe. You don't necessarily live in a slim house where you can look in your window and you can see what your next door neighbor's doing in the kitchen. Some of these houses are literally that close. But let's say you want to rent. Okay, there's plenty of places to rent in small towns. And the city centers, if it's an older city center and it's actually a thriving city center, they have apartments on top of businesses. So you're basically right downtown in the core of the city. The apartment is right there on top of the business. Some places have other apartments in other parts of the cities that are, that are duplexes, fourplexes, sixplexes, eightplexes, whatnot. But they have more room on the inside, and they're more affordable. Depends on where you live. But, so basically living is much better. And you're saying, well, what am I going to do with an acre? Well, the average person out there has a dog, has cats. But main thing is, yeah, dogs, cats. Okay, you open up the back door and you let the dog and cat go and run around in the backyard. I mean, why not? They go and chase the birds, chase the squirrels, chase the balls, dig holes. They're having the time of their life instead of being stuck inside of the house. Cats love to go outside in small towns anyways. They'll go down by the river, they'll go underneath the bridge, and they'll catch mice all day long. Keeps them happy and healthy. So that's one of the best things. It's just great for your pets. Living in a small town with a big old yard, I mean, you have an acre. Heck, plant a garden on a quarter of the acre. You can save yourself all kinds of money just by growing your own fruits and vegetables. Which is what we did when I grew up. We had about an acre and a quarter, and my mother planted literally a half an acre of garden. And she canned it, and we weeded it, and us kids love to weed the garden. If you see that green bean, that's going down into my tummy. I see that ripe strawberry, that's it. It's not gonna see them all. Ooh, a ripe apple on the tree. Okay, there's my snack. But in a big city, and you walk down the streets, you don't see fruit trees. You don't see gardens. You're going to go in the next 7-Eleven and buy yourself a Twinkie. Or a Slurpee. A little bit of a difference there. It's a better life for the kids. So now we're getting from living in where we're living. Got more space to live, more space to roam. Now let's talk about the city center. Now a lot of these big cities will probably have a Walmart or have, a good grocery store. Okay, you have maybe 1, 2, 3 places you can be able to go. Then you have your little mom and pop's corner stores. You have the antique shop. You have the thrift shop. You have everything that you need right there in that little core. And then you have a multitude of restaurants. You have mom and pop restaurants. You'll have that diner down on the corner that's been open since the 1920s, and they still serve pancakes better than any restaurant in the entire city. I mean, any restaurant in the big city. When you go on vacation, you get homesick because the food is so good there. So that's the other thing. And then one of the biggest things about a small town is just about everybody in a small town is connected. If you're active and you go to the community dances, and let me give you kind of an example. So we have a place out here that's called Tillamook. Yeah, it's the place where you get your Tillamook cheese and you get your Tillamook ice cream and you get your pepperoni, your Old Country Smoker pepperoni from there. That's Tillamook. Now I drive for a charter company. I have this big old charter bus here. And when I went to go and watch a football game, I took a bunch of kids from the big city out to the small town / country, but I would say it's a small town. Took them down to the high school so they could go play football. Now, a small town, most high schools in a small town won't be able to. I mean, you wouldn't think that there would be that many people to go and see the game. Just some of the people from the high school, that type of stuff. Well, when you go and walk onto the football field and you look around, there's hardly any bleachers. There's hillsides. You know, grass hillsides. You know, a big old concession stand, and they're putting Roy's pulled pork and beef slider sandwiches on the grill. And you can smell those from a mile away. So you walk in, and literally the entire town is on the track surrounding the football field watching the game. And just about every single one of them has something to do with that high school on their head, on their shirt. They have banners and they're waving them. I mean, it is like you are going to an NFL game in a small town. Everybody is there. When they do a 4th of July celebration, everybody goes to the high school because that's where the fireworks are going. They have the band down there, they have everything else going there because that's the big parade field. Some small towns have a massive park in the middle of town. But it's all about togetherness, because if I have a kid that's going into that high school, and I've lived in that town for 6 years, I would know every single parent that's on that field. I'd be going and shaking hands and say, hey, I haven't seen you in a long time. It's all about togetherness. It's all about unity. It's all about, I mean, there's hardly ever a divide in a small town. And then when somebody gets into distress, like a house goes on fire, the entire town reacts. When fall harvest comes and everybody comes out and there's 1,000 casseroles and all kinds of different things, goodies that are being cooked. So that's what the best thing about a small town is. And the schools, they're more focused on the kids. They're not crunching numbers because they're not overcrowded. Some towns are, but most of them aren't. Some small towns don't even have a problem with staffing for teaching. So that's my opinion between small towns and big cities, because small towns are not really micromanaged. The streets are nice and clean. I mean, I've run into several small towns here in the Pacific Northwest, and I mean, it's so clean. It looks so nice. You come back into the city and there's litter everywhere, and there's homeless camps and people breaking windows, and a guy walking down the street with a crowbar and smashing a window, reaching in to grab a pack of cigarettes. You know, it's time to stop and think whether or not you want to go and live in a big city, or if you want to live in the country, or if you want to live in a small town. Wouldn't anybody like to live in a small town? Let me know in the comment section below. I'd like to hear it. What would you prefer? Living in a big city, living in a small town, living in the country, or just living in the middle of nowhere like a nomad hermit? Let me know in the comment section. And again, hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell so you don't miss another one. Until next time, keep on rocking.